Welcome to Grumpy Old Avatars with your hosts, Malvin's Writer, Deuce and Dragonash, and Slim Warrior.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, or even tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And welcome back to a brand new series of the Grumpy Old Avatars. This is the show where we sort of wind down at the end of the week, moan, groan, and otherwise procrastinate on anything really that takes our fancy. It may be something happening in the grid on Second Life here where we're filming, or it may be something to do with the greater world, or today it may be even be Outworld, because I believe, and I have this only on good authority, that we might be talking about aliens. So, very peculiar that is. Anyway, I am joined, as always, by my two wonderful co-hosts. First of all, we have Slim Warrior. Hi, Slimmy.
Hello.
Oh, don't they just sound so excited when we get on this show? And I also have with me, of course, Deuce and Dragonash. Hi, Deuce.
Hi.
Yeah, well, one day they're going to rename us the Depressing Old Avatars, aren't they? Because we don't sound too excited about all this groan, moan, moan. Anyway, as well as that, we have three guests today, and we're starting off this series with a rather unusual one indeed. First of all, I'd like to welcome the renowned machinima maker and many things besides really. She's been on the show before, so it's welcome back to Toxic Menges. Hi, Toxic.
Hello, nice to be here. Hello.
And first time on the show, we have Maximillian Merlin. Welcome, Max.
Good evening. From Germany.
From Germany, indeed. Yes. We do congregate around Europe here, don't we? But we can forget that because we're going to outer space, I believe. But we'll get to that later. I think Slimmy will explain that. Now, we also have a third guest who's not going to be able to introduce himself as such because he is Quasimodo Merlin. And Quasimodo is rather unique around here because he's not quite an avatar in the sense that he's not a human-controlled avatar. He's an artificial intelligence, which means we're going to have great fun in the chat room on the sim where we're filming, and we're going to be doing our best to convey exactly how Quasimodo is behaving to all of you as we go along. I think you'll find Slimmy turns into a sort of sports commentator for the duration of the program.
I may do.
So I will say welcome to Quasimodo, and he will remain silent in reply. Okay, well, a happy new year to everybody. I know it's a bit late, but it's the first show of the year, so we better say it. And we've had a long, cold, windy, wet winter, by and large, in which to dwell on all sorts of things that should make us grumpy. So if we're not on form today, we really haven't got any excuse. That said, I can't think of anything to say. But I'm going to hand over to Slimmy first because she's going to introduce our sort of vague theme of the day. We'll be getting on to other things, I'm quite sure, later. And she will probably introduce us to Max too, who will tell us a little bit more about Quasimodo, just to avoid confusion as we go along. So over to you, Slimmy.
Well, I don't know why I'm talking about aliens. I seem to be surrounded by aliens at the moment, mostly living in my own house in the form of children who are very much like aliens most of the time, actually. But, of course, in Second Life, I am sitting next to Quasimodo Merlin, who thankfully can't listen to voice. He can only respond in chat, which is very good. He is quite an amazing avatar, actually, and he is the brainchild of Maximillian Merlin, who has obviously been very good at creating our very own alien here for Grumpies. So I'm going to hand over to Max, actually, and get him to tell you just a little bit about Quasi, or why we think he's an alien.
Well, he's an alien because he never does my arm. He's an alien because he doesn't behave like a human. and he tries to be human so much. And he got a new feeling chip. He is based on a huge database. His chat database contains 22,000 entries, and he's derived from an early Alice chatbot. And I made a lot of things to make him work in Second Life, like he's animating himself, as you see now, and he's learning things. He also has a Second Life glossary, so he can answer your questions like, what is a prim, and explain it to you. And he also has a Vogon poetry engine. He creates very weird poetry on demand, and he knows more than 7,000 avatars in Second Life, and remembers when he met them last and how many times he met them. So his brain is probably much better than mine. I sometimes don't remember the people I met yesterday.
I wonder if that would be like, if aliens did actually come down to Earth. As we've seen from some videos this week on the internet, there's one that's going around, has gone a bit viral, hasn't it, with this little orange ball shooting up into the air. It just makes me wonder, actually, if aliens did come to Second Life, what they'd actually think of it.
They would feel very well, I'm sure.
You might survive in Second Life and bypass the real world. That's the thought.
Yeah, they'd probably find it more interesting to be here, wouldn't they?
Indeed. Okay, well, for benefit of those of you at home, as they say in television, you can't see what's going on in the chat room or the text chat on the simulator where we're filming this. But for the benefit of the audience on the set, so to speak, if you type a question or comment that includes the word Quasi in it, you will get some kind of response from Quasi. And if you get fed up with responses from him, you just type the one word, shut up, and he will hopefully do just that. So if you get bored with us, just ask Quasi some questions and you'll be entertained, I'm quite sure. Right, well, who hasn't spoken yet? I think it's about time we said hello to Doozer. How's your winter been, Doozer?
It's been wet. What can I say? It's wet and wild and dark and dreary, and there are people throwing themselves in the river, and the police boats go up and down, and it's awful out there.
I too can hear the gales.
I can hear the gales through the through my headset, quite frankly.
It's terrible. We were also a little aside here. Very happy to welcome the filmer of this show and the CEO of NBC, in fact, Robustus Hacks, to the UK shores barely a week ago now, really, a little bit longer. And I think I can safely say all he saw was wet and grey and rain and cold. But
there was something else that he saw. There was something else that he saw, Mal.
Yes, we have to tell this, don't we? Yes, yes. Rob saw a lot of this, didn't he?
He did. A lot of women in black pants and boots. Everywhere he went. I hadn't actually noticed it, but of course it is the uniform of London. Black pants and boots in various forms. And so that's what he saw, and he couldn't get over it, and I couldn't get over it. He couldn't get over it.
Yes, I guess.
What's wrong with black pants and black shirt and black boots?
Exactly. Well, not the black shirt.
It's your costume, isn't it?
It matches everything.
Exactly. It's existentialist.
Yeah, I mean, you just add black to anything, and you're okay. You know, even males can do that. It's a good trick, adding black, very neutral colour. Anyway,
did Rob go back wearing the British costume then? You do know it's our national costume, Rob.
Yeah.
I hope you bought some for yourself.
Well, it's a shame Rob isn't actually on this show to talk, because he did have some rather adventures with the British immigration. And I think we should moan on his behalf about British immigration. But I've got a feeling that if he tried going out of the country wearing black tights, high-heeled boots, and whatever, he might have actually had himself even more problems. Oh, and my apologies after all that. Apparently my Second Life voice wasn't on, so those of you in the studio here have just missed half of what I said.
Well, that's because it's a new series back on Grumpies and nobody's got it together because we're being so busy being grumpy.
Indeed.
Anyway, how can we be grumpy about aliens? I don't find anything grumpy about aliens. I think we should just grump about the weather. Because it's
I'll tell you what's grumpy about aliens, that people are insisting on sending aliens over into territories which are quite sensitive about the whole flaming subject. So whatever those aliens are doing over there, they shouldn't be doing it there. But I do know the reason they were there. Because originally that was their landing spot. And of course now there's a building on it. So of course what they did was they tried to park, found out somebody else was there and had to clear off.
They were really annoyed actually. It's like, hey, who put this building here on top of our
what was it, South America?
UFO pad?
No, it tried to land on the, I think it's the Umayyad, well maybe it isn't Umayyad, but it's on the mosque on the in the middle of Jerusalem. It's the Blue Mosque, I think. So it obviously was trying to land there, then got completely astonished by it and then shot off. And that is exactly what I do when I'm trying to park.
So either that or it landed on a really pointy bit at the top.
Yeah. So
I
if
think
there's
they were
trouble,
just
it's because somebody else was in there. Say again?
I think they were just absolutely disgusted by the parking charges and buggered off somewhere else to try and find it somewhere
I
cheaper
agree.
for 2 hours.
I mean, you come in, you find somebody's nicked your parking spot, and then they're trying to charge you.
This reminds me of the thing, I don't know why it reminds me, I suppose it's to do with rooftop landings, but there's I think it's a mosque also. Oh, no, it's the Air Force Ministry in Iran, I believe it is. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's Iran. And they I think Google managed to take aerial photos of it. And much to Iran's embarrassment, now obviously nobody had been up on the roof to check the landing pad recently on the Air Force headquarters. It had some Jewish symbolism all over it. And this was actually bona fide because when it was originally built, it was a building that had been built by Israelis who had been contracted to build it. And long before the Iranian Revolution or whatever. Just thought that was amusing. You know, they come along for their landing pad and they see what purports to be their enemy symbolism on the roof. Anyway, I digress. That's probably not really funny.
Yes, I've got something to be grumpy about. Well, actually, it's not me personally. it's on when you submit a complaint. Usually, you expect your complaint to be dealt with as quite promptly. Sort of either within a week. I'd consider that to be, if it's a big company, you'd consider a week to be a reasonable time to respond to a complaint. But listen to this. Today, an avatar in Second Life got a response to a complaint that he'd made about something on one of the regions in Second Life. Which would be great if it was just a week ago or so. But this was a response to a complaint he made in 2008. So I'm kind of figuring that if you suddenly got in your email box a reply to a complaint that you made like 4 years ago or 3 years ago,
I want to know what he did.
That's almost as bad as the British Post Office. Good grief.
I want to know what he's done to make him so special to actually get a response. What's going on?
I know. Yep. He must know the right people. That's all I can say at Linden Lab to get a response that quickly. I'm
he's
quite
well
amazed.
in there. Yeah, he must own multiple Sims. You know.
You know what I think? I think they have a secret plan. You know what I think? I think they have a secret plan. And we had this in Germany before the revolution. It was called socialism. It took you 12 years to get a car. And maybe the big plan is to give us Second Life to the residents, and we will own it, and we can set the prim limit and everything. Would be nice. But we won't have any money anymore. We would have to share it. What would be nice too for me?
And then just imagine Sorry, go ahead. Talk us
I was going to say it would take you 57 years to get a share of one for him, and then you'd only have it every other weekend.
We do have a new CEO here, so you never know. Maybe we'll have
Isn't that like timeshare apartments where you buy into something and you can only use it every so often?
That's right.
Yeah, you
I always think that you're likely to turn up at the same time as somebody else, quite frankly.
Well, maybe that's how they run the complaints department in Second Life. You buy into it because obviously you pay for your tier or whatever it is, but you only get an answer every so often. You only get the right to have your complaint replied to once every 3 years.
Do you know, I've been thinking about my week and whether there was anything to moan about apart from the weather, and really there wasn't.
Oh.
No, I know. It's an absolute disgrace. I don't know what I'm going to do, quite frankly.
Even the travel worked out.
Well, the travel worked out because everything was cancelled and I got paid because it was cancelled late. So that's good. That's a good thing. I got paid for not having to go to work. So that was a good thing.
Grumpy now because that didn't happen to me. I don't go to work and I don't get paid.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't go to work and I do get paid. Because they cancelled at the last minute.
That's what I meant. So it all came out wrong. See? Oh, God.
Yeah, you see. So, I mean, I've got absolutely nothing to moan about this week, which is making me furious.
Well, it does occur to me we have had a whole winter since the moan about. How about you, Toxic? I noticed there's only been half of you today, and you had an industrial accident, didn't you?
Yes, I had a small accident with a meat packing factory machinery, but it's okay because I've been told that it will all grow back. Eventually.
Good. I hope you're not making a mess on our sofa. Dripping. Bits
no, there's no dripping. It's all right. I gave it a good swab before I came out.
But actually, these sofas are made for dripping, aren't they?
Underneath you, just in case.
Yeah, we just catch in one of the little. What are they called? What are they called on sofas when they? What's that thing called on leather sofas where they have the? I don't know what it's called, so I can't tell you what it is.
Plastic sheeting.
Plastic sheeting to protect.
Just stick some freezer bags under me. It'll be fine.
Washing up bowl. Cup holder.
Oh God! No. What were you going to ask me if I've got anything that's made me grumpy this week?
Yes. Do tell us. Or grumpy over the last season, for that matter. What it was.
Well, apart from the weather, which has been absolutely dreadful, and I've been wandering around 2 pairs of socks on and feeling like I was in Siberia. In terms of Second Life, well, I just get. Are we allowed to swear on here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is PG. This is a PG sim, though, but.
It's TV.
It's not a PG program. Well, I can change that. Give me a minute.
Okay, so I get pissed off over a large amount of time, actually, for people that completely misrepresent themselves in Second Life. Because haven't you noticed that Second Life sort of works on a BS-ometer, sort of like, the amount of BS that you can throw in front of someone is proportionally representational to the amount that they actually believe you. So, so if you was like, for example, in my own field, I'll just say, for example, if someone said, I do all these films and I'm fantastic, and you know what? Bugger all do they do? It's somebody else to do it. That pisses me off. And that happens all the way around Second Life. And it's just this whole BS level that just goes shooting off the charts. And it's absolutely rubbish. And it's been giving me some mental grief for a while now. So I feel a bit cleansed. Thank you very much.
I think we'd all agree with that. I think Doozer would, especially. I mean, the stuff we get.
Set me off.
Yes.
But isn't it though? It's exactly how well people can make people believe the amount of BS they push on them, and I'm obviously a neurosurgeon because I've touched a scalpel. I don't think so, Mrs.
I think what happens is that there are two sort of societies running. One is the society of that's what I'm going to be, and I'm playing this game, and I'm going to play it being whatever it's going to be today, the neurosurgeon. And then there's this other strata, which is doing the stuff that other people are playing at. And I think those two things get very mixed up at times. It drives me insane because when people come, I've got a very hard-hitting, I think, classified out at the moment for people to come and film with NBC. And, you know, it says they're long hours, there's barely any joy in it, you get a bit of training and there's no money. And we'd quite like it if you could film in the first place, you know, but otherwise we're perfectly happy to train you. And people come along and they may have done one film. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that because you can tell from one thing, you know, whether they've got an eye or whether they're having a go at something, whether they're experimental, which direction they may find themselves going on. It's just a matter of giving them the tools. But it isn't just a matter of somebody pointing and shooting and that's it, which is what I tend to do. I'm not a good filmer by any stretch of the imagination. It takes a lot of work and a lot of hard hours. And at the moment, I don't have the time to do that kind of practice. And I know that it doesn't happen overnight. So everything that people see in machinima here has been really, really well worked at.
Yeah.
Shut everybody up, didn't it?
I think it's that, you know, there are the talkers and the doers.
Yeah.
Doers rather than the talkers.
It just winds me up is when you get the talkers, and because they perhaps talk a good shtick, then everybody believes that they're the doers, and you know you could be sat there going, prove it, and they can't, and so they just carry on talking, and then you know everybody else just carries on believing them. Winds me up something chronic.
Well, where's the product toxic? Get them to show the product. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, but they get their little friends to do it, and then they don't say anything about it, and they pass it off as their own.
How are the friends feeling about that, I wonder?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know. A bit stupid for doing it. I don't know.
We had somebody looking for a job the other day who didn't have anything to show for themselves at all, and they immediately said they wanted to film an already existing program that was already being filmed. I thought, what audacity! I thought it was dizzy.
Would that be the director's cut?
No, cut off at. Well, I was going to say cut off at the knees, but then I saw the accident that you've had recently, Toxic, and I thought perhaps that would be in bad taste.
It's all right. I'm not emotionally scarred by it. Just the back of my head's missing.
I think it's a lot of people hiding behind. Well, not so much the anonymity, but there's a lot we gain from not having direct eye contact and things here. There's a lack of prejudice against disabled people or people who, for one reason, their looks may inspire prejudice or something. But on the other hand, the lack of that contact thing, you can't see the shifty eyes of the bullshitter that we were talking about. They pop up everywhere.
Yeah, or the blind panic as they Google things.
Clues we normally rely on are missing. So I think a lot of it's that, but there's certainly a lot of that BS around.
Yeah, there is a large amount of BS around. It's a good job we don't have smell-o-vision on our client yet, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, thank God for that smell.
I can't. Can you imagine? Most people haven't stirred from behind these computers for weeks. Smell-o-vision is not something we need to be having around here.
Oh God, can you imagine it? Yeah.
My God,
I believe
think
there
Max
is a way
didn't change his outfit for half a year, so.
I believe there is actually a way they can play with the audio waves to make sort of semi-subliminal sounds come over audio that conjure up smells. Because we have associations with the resonation or something, but I don't really think I want to go there.
They can make your internal organs go to sort of like jelly as well from sound, can't they? So let's hope nobody's playing with that either.
Let's not give them any ideas.
I had to log off. My lung melted.
God. So, back to the aliens. There was one here earlier, wasn't there, sitting on somebody's shoulder? What's happened to him?
Yes. Oh, he went back home. You want him back? He was a little bit chatty, you know. They came here for Christmas, and they stayed.
Oh.
He's coming now.
Well, we might as well see one while we're at it. We all think we know what they look like.
Okay, while we're having a look at this thing when it appears, anybody in the audience there, you can type in the chat window here if there's anything you're grumpy about or would like to contribute to the conversation. Anything you suggest that we might like to talk about or grump about. This is our audience participation bit.
You know what? We're out of practice.
We are indeed. We're now begging the audience to kick us in the ass.
Yeah. We're out of practice. I can't believe it. We had that break over the New Year, Christmas and New Year.
I had so many grumpy things to talk about, and I've forgotten every single one of them.
I have one thing that really made me grumpy last week. I got a new computer and I installed Google Chrome because I really like the browser, despite of what everybody says. And there's something I don't understand. Why is there no Google toolbar for Google Chrome? You can get a Google toolbar for Google Chrome, so I had to reinstall Mozilla to get my toolbar back.
That's a very good point. I think they just assume you'll type something and they'll pop up a Google page if you're lost. That's a good point. I like Chrome, but there's no real toolbars of any kind in that. There are actually just 1,000 tabs open in the background for all the extensions and things, which is. But I use a browser called Rotmelt, which is got Facebook built into it, and that's built on Chrome. It's quite nice.
When it doesn't crash.
Yeah.
Surely. I've never used Chrome, I must admit. I've seen it, but I've never used it. But surely it's defeating the object of Chrome if you would have to install a toolbar for Google Chrome onto Google Chrome. Shouldn't Google Chrome have everything it needs in Google Chrome without a toolbar for Google Chrome?
Right, I agree. But it has nothing.
What do you want the toolbar for?
It opens your email account of Google, and it allows you to go on your notes and documents and bookmarks you have saved in Google. So
Can
I'm
you not,
a lot on.
Can you not do that in preferences?
No,
There's
no way to get a Google toolbar in the Google Chrome browser.
Chrome was actually designed to run, really quickly, and it does.
Yeah, really lean. Yeah. And it works very good on Google Documents. It's the fastest I've experienced.
And
I'm working a lot on sharing documents, and it's perfect for this.
I mean, I use it as an alternative to Second Life in World Viewer, and it's noticeably faster. But the problem is they have a lot of extensions that you can install, and each of those extensions, although you can't see it, and this is, I think, the grump about actually. You can't see the extensions, but each installed in extension, is a separate tab that's invisible. And if you look on your processes thing on your computer, you'll find that whenever you've got Chrome open, you've actually got about 30 Chromes open because there's another Chrome open for every extension. And unfortunately, if you pack it with a load of extensions, many of which do give you mail facilities, group facilities, and everything else, the more you've got, the more it slows down. It becomes a bit like the old Firefox thing, where great, I can turn this into a whole work desktop.
Yeah, right.
By the time I've added every extension available to do what I want to do, the thing takes half an hour to open. And Chrome does seem to go a bit the same way after a while. If you install a lot of things, it's gradually sort of slows down a bit. It's not the wham bang machine they promised you when you first installed it.
Yeah, right.
But I guess it's not too different from Microsoft Windows in that respect. Gets slower by the day without you doing anything. Right, should we moan and groan about the software? Chantal was offering her groan.
I was going to moan about browsers for Second Life, and I know we've done this before, but I seriously have about 8 different browsers now, with about 3 versions of each stored on my computer. And not one of them saves a chat log. It doesn't matter how many times I click it. Every time I log into Second Life, depending on what mood I'm in as to what browser I actually loads and lets me in.
Right.
Nothing saves a chat log, and I've reinstalled things. I've set all the preferences to save chat logs, and it's bloody annoying.
It's interesting you saying that, because I had a meeting with a couple of Lindens today, and I sat there and explained that I have 9 viewers on my toolbar. So I have one for depth of field, I have one for shadows, I have one for that's Phoenix, one for when Phoenix doesn't work, I have a mesh beta viewer, I have Firestorm, and probably another one that I can't quite keep up with. And it's almost like having a rack of fine cigars, and I go, oh, which one shall I have today? You know, and it's ridiculous.
Exactly, it is.
And every time you change viewers, half the settings change. You know, this kind of
and your clothes.
Viewer 1 database to go back to viewer 2 database and back again.
I just thought it was something really funny. Just imagine you've got a different browser for each partner in Second Life if you're one of those people.
That'd be quite a good idea.
Yeah, that might work actually.
See them all differently.
It's actually that is actually quite funny. Now, I mean, this is just a small thing. When we asked the audience if they had any moans, Chantel Harvey, who's in the audience, said, "Moan, I didn't get to that meeting today, which was a meet and greet with the new CEO." And Toxic was there. And I guess that's what she was talking about. But I was actually amazed because I think it was Chestnut, whatever. Rao. Yes, it is Rao. That's what I was about to say. Within about 2 minutes, she had a blog post up with a full transcript of the chat log, so anybody who actually missed it can actually read it on her blog. But I'm not entirely sure anybody got permission to actually publish a full chat log at a meeting.
They didn't say no, and it was actually, that meeting was a different meeting. I've had just loads of blinking meetings this evening with loads of different people, but I'll have a little moan about that, if I may, and it's different from the moan that Chantel wants to have. It felt like, you know, when you go to one of those all-day training things and everybody sort of sits around at the start and goes, "Hello, my name is Joe Blogs, and I've been with the company for 2.5 years, and I secretly hate it, but I'm not going to tell anybody that. You know, and I want to end world hunger by the end of the afternoon." You know, and it was a bit like that, and then everybody went around, and then there was some little clapping from Rodvik, and he said something nice. He did say some nice, interesting things, but it was a bit like, you know, "Oh, no, I have to type something nice now," and then it went all the way around, and it was like I almost wanted to say yes, and I've not had a drink in 6 months. You know, it was like between the start of a training meeting and an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Not that I've ever been to one, but that's what I would imagine. And it was just, you know, and everybody go around and say hello and say something about Second Life, and then bugger off.
Well, I read through that chat. I read through the chat transcript, and I thought, well, he really worked hard at getting to know you all. Great, pleased to meet you. Maybe it wasn't him typing.
I wanted to have the group hug at the end because I thought there was going to be a group hug at the end, you know, and I wanted to goose him because he's got a toga on.
Because he's got a toga on. I want to know, did he have anything on underneath the toga, Toxic?
He had horrible shoes on. Horrible shoes. Those shoes were just outrageously bad.
I know. I'm surprised that nobody pointed it out when you were having the group meet and greet. Because normally that's what you would do.
I think everybody was just
out that he had really naff shoes on.
Well, I have got something to moan about now, is that I missed the meeting.
Yes, we were. There you were.
Under the computer.
Nice. It was a nice idea to do, and I think you know, in this new era of them trying to be a bit more open, which they're actually managing in a lot of ways, it was good, but it was a bit too compartmentalised, and I felt like I was at some sort of treatment centre or about to learn something to do with Photoshop for my work.
Yeah, it was. I sort of agree with that. It was very structured, and you did sort of feel like it was a group therapy session or something. But at the same time, in fact, I thought it was quite successful in the sense that, you know, he said just a little bit, then everybody introduced themselves. He said, "Oh yeah, fine, pleased to meet you," and it moved on. I think the acid test is whether he's listening, whether he gets in touch with anything, any of the people who are there and says, I'd like to know more about that and whatever. But, it did feel like a sort of very choreographed event. And for those of you at home, by the way, watching TV, we're talking about somebody called Roderick Linden, Rod Humble, who is the new CEO of Second Life, which is where we're filming this program. And he had his first sort of introductory meeting to selected residents today. And that, in case you're wondering, is what we're commenting on.
But I'm so grumpy I didn't go. I've eaten a whole packet of biscuits while we've been talking.
Well, I'll tell you what, your thighs are not going to thank you because you didn't miss that much.
Wow.
No.
I don't know.
No, but the fact is that neither of us knew that we didn't miss that much.
To be honest, if I'm going to be like brutally frank, and God knows I always am, they are trying. I had a meeting sort of straight after with 2 other Lindens, and they're being very open, and they're being very frank in those meetings. And I if that was his first sort of public outing to the general population, they had to do it quite carefully, and because he managed to sit down on a seat, so well done. I think that's probably more than perhaps I've seen Philip manage to do in one go.
Tries.
But it did, bless him. I think his toga got wrapped around his really bad shoes, and he had a problem with it. But everybody buy him some shoes, for God's sake. Just some slip-on sandals, or even some prim feet would probably help. But I think they're being a lot more open. I think they're really trying, and if this is the start of him then widening the way he communicates, then that's a really good thing.
Wait. We've got to have a Let's Make a Rodvig avatar competition.
What, and then he'll leave?
No, he had a makeup competition, didn't he? And then everybody submitted their makeover. Oh, it's a bit.
He obviously hated it and then cleared off.
So when we want him to leave, we have to make him a new avatar. It's just like the polite way of doing it, isn't it?
I didn't mean it like that.
Because I don't know whether he was still there at the end, Toxic, but some people were actually said we want to call him Jesus Linden now because he's like an old robe, and his face with the hair looked like the sort of Christian myth person.
Perhaps
It probably took it so long to get off Help Island.
I know.
His clothes turned to rags.
And the thing that's going to make Chantal really mad, although this maybe is a sign of the times. The invites to this went out to one of the press groups that Linden run, but there weren't really more than about 16 or 18 people there. Only half the people who were meant to be coming actually turned up. So it's really
they were all under their bloody computers.
It's really rare to be a Linden event that isn't packed out and laggy.
I think it was a case of nobody could choose which browser they wanted to wear.
Yeah.
And I have got another Rodvig in his toga joke. I wonder if he is here to perform miracles then, if they want to call him Jesus.
Well, it's interesting that he comes and then, the night before he has his meeting, we have aliens landing in Jerusalem.
Well, trying to land before they
Well,
get
do you
stuck
think
up
those
down
two
the
things are
pointy
connected?
They get stung by the 15,000 Linden parking charge.
thing. Hey, maybe they were picking up a new toga for him.
If those two things are connected, we're going to need a whole show to analyse this.
Perhaps they went to pick him up some new sandals, and that's why he hasn't got any, because they didn't manage to land. They were truly awful. I don't know who the hell. I really wanted to click and find out, but they were bad. I'm not that much of a shoe snob, obviously, because I've got no legs at the moment, but, they were bad.
I think we should put a donation jar out to help Toxic get the rest of her body back.
Well, if there is a
I'm
connection
actually more
between
worried about the
Rodvig
sofa.
and Jesus, he's probably only going to last till Easter, isn't he?
So, no, coming back to Max.
Thank you, Toxic.
You've got any thoughts on the dealings with the almighty Lindens? How does your AI get on with them?
Oh well, I had no had no problems until now. They accept him, they let him live, and he was never bothered by a Linden. That's all I can say. And I must say something positive. Some mega prims disappeared 2 days ago from my sim. And they were all from the same creator. And it was a big rumor in several groups, where did the mega prims go? Are they going to forbid the mega prims? And I requested a rollback and told them my mega prims are gone, just to see how they react. And I got my mega prims back within 3 hours. So
yeah, I
everything is
gathered they
fine.
rolled back them all.
It happened to several people. And it was by that particular creator, they did all disappear. There were quite a few.
But the thing has been
Unfortunately,
resolved now, hasn't it?
I built all my panorama boxes out of these prims, so I lost all my panorama boxes and had some pretty bad-looking spaces without surrounding left after this. When I saw it already in the night, but I was going to bed and I was looking and I thought, oh well, maybe it's something with the draw distance, or sometimes you don't see prims. I didn't care and went to bed. And next morning I saw a message in a builders group, mega prims disappeared, with a big question mark, and I thought, oh my god, if they return all mega prims from the grid, oh my god. I build a lot with mega prims. My building group does custom sims and stuff, and I was shocked before freaking
Wake
out.
up in the morning, they've all vanished. There was an interesting thing. It was equally bad news. And the weather this week, there was a Second Life. A lot of people in Second Life post their photographs from in world to Flickr, and somebody had posted or reposted one of his pictures or something, and he complained to Flickr about this, and the person taking his complaint misread it, and they ended up deleting his account with all 60,000 Second Life pictures or whatever. And he got up and they said, oh, well, very, very sorry, really, really sorry, actually, very, very sorry. And, well, we can restore your account, but we won't be able to restore the pictures. And they said, well, we will give you 4 years pro account as consolation. But the funniest thing of all, actually, is that apparently, although it had been officially deleted from the server, of course, the actual data hadn't got lost. And when they put his account back online, even to their surprise, the pictures came back.
So has he still got the 4 years pro account?
Yeah, you can just imagine panicking. 6,000 of my pictures had just been wiped to oblivion by Flickr. But he did manage to get them back, fortunately, because of some deletion error, which was even funnier.
Well, at least their complaint system works a bit faster than Linden Labs. So.
This is true, yeah. This is true. The reaction was quite quick.
I do think they must have been doing something this week, because I think I've had to reply to a ticket I put in 3 months ago. So maybe they've been digging. Yeah.
Do see you're obviously sick.
I always hear it from other people, and I'm really not here to do advertising for Linden Lab, but indeed, it's totally different to me. I always write very friendly support tickets, even when I'm very upset. Sometimes I go 2 hours out for a walk before I write the ticket, And
just so you don't feel it was
I always get friendly replies. I get them fast, always in time. I didn't try a lot in the last months, except this thing in last week with the rollback. But I had no problems until now.
What Max hasn't told you is that he goes out for a walk for 2 hours, and when he comes back, there's no trees left in his local park.
Well, maybe the CEO has ordered everybody to actually organise their filing cabinets for a change or something. Oh yes, that to be done at the bottom of the pile from 3 years ago. Do it. We'll see. I keep getting distracted here, I've got to admit, by Quasimodo. Ladies and gentlemen at home, you will not believe how much conversation has been coming from Quasi, the AI, throughout this broadcast. You haven't been able to see it, but it has been non-stop, and some of it makes perfect sense, some of it doesn't make any sense, and some of it's hilariously funny. But it's very distracting, to say the least. So, an interesting guest here we've had today. So, I think it's about time we started our sort of wrap-up sequence, as we say on these shows. I know we lost a bit of it in the middle, but we've got about 10 minutes to go or something till the hour. And what we like to do on the show is sort of go round, forget everything we've been talking about so far, and go round all our guests and ourselves individually and ask what has been getting on our mind, getting us grumpy this week or lately. So, I'll start. Which expert will I start with? I will start with Slimmy.
I knew you were going to say that because really, the only flipping Henry. Sorry.
There we are. We got a moan already.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm grumpy about now. Oh my god. A hairbrush fell off the side of my desk and I just sat on it. Sorry. Flop. I think it gave me a fright more than anything else. God, yeah, people that leave hairbrushes lying on their desktops should be just banned from sitting on chairs. Right. I wasn't going to talk about the being grumpy. No, the thing I've been grumpy about most of all, I think, this week is the fact that it's been so stormy today. I have actually been listening to the tiles on my roof fly off into my front yard.
Oh, dear.
And I know when I go out in the morning is that all the buckets that I have placed strategically in the roof space will now have to double in quantity because some of the tiles have fallen off the roof. So, yeah, I'm grumpy about that.
Well, you can look on the bright side. I really pity the people in Queensland.
I will be looking on the bright side when it's sunny and I can see out of the roof, like, completely.
Right,
Yeah.
and you get an excellent ventilation on your roof.
Yes. 40 mile an hour wind ventilation.
Yes. And
Well, how
maybe
about
you
you?
should put your computer up there. It's very good cooled then.
Yeah, as a cooling system this time of year.
Yes. Roof cooling system. You might be the inventor of it.
Okay, how about you, Max? What's on your mind this week, other than what we've talked about so far? Anything getting you nice and grumpy, riled, and such like?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, what's been on your mind this week? Anything
Oh,
particular?
well, on my mind was this week 6 gigabyte RAM and my new machine. I bought me a new machine because my old mainboard overheated after 6 years. I had to buy a new computer. And now I have to deal with Windows 7 and I'm used to Win XP. And it's pretty new. It's feeling like having not a new computer. It's like having a new user in front of the computer.
Yeah.
It took me 6 hours to get the Second Life voice running. I tried every viewer. Finally, I did what I always do if I'm desperate. I pressed all the buttons 2 or 4 times, and suddenly it worked.
Well, actually, there's a bright side for you too, and that is that you can thank your lucky stars you never had to encounter the thing called Vista. It looked like Windows 7, but if you think Windows 7
I tried it for 3 weeks, and 3 weeks were enough. And after that, I worked for a company. They gave me a laptop with Vista on. And I went to my boss and I said, would you mind if I bring my own laptop to work next time? And he said, no, I have one for another colleague then.
Yeah, it's good on Microsoft, eh? Oh well, you'll get used to it in the end. It will get slower and slower as time goes by, and it eventually gets so slow that it won't matter what's going wrong. You'll have plenty of time in the world to figure it out.
You know, it was a brand new laptop, and it was already slow before I touched it. Usually, I need a year to make a computer really slow by installing all this software and trying out and doing, and then I need a new install of Windows usually.
Yeah.
But Vista felt from the first moment like it needs a new install.
Yeah, it needs a new brain, full stop. Okay, well, how about you, Topsy? What's been on your mind this week, apart from what we've already talked about?
Okay, so my real life work has been causing me some pain this week, so I decided that I'm doing some overtime and end up working 6 days, and then they decide they're going to change the rota to 7 days on, 7 days off. So that now means I work 14 days until I get a day off. which included 16 hours yesterday. So I am a bit tired, which has made me a bit grumpy, but I will get a whole week off the week after next. But it feels like it's a long way off at the moment. Just to go back to the Vista comment that Max made, it's not really something to be grumpy about, but I did tell Lyndon today that Viewer 2 was their Vista, and he was quite insulted.
I should think so. So comparing it to Vista is enough to.
I know. I was almost could have been calling his parentage into question. I think was the level of thing that was. Yeah. So yeah, BS merchants who should be named and shamed. The fact I have to work 14 days without a day off, and managed to mortally insult a Lyndon today. So if my account can't sign on tomorrow, you know what's happened.
Well, at least you can look forward to it.
We will tell them Vista, then they bring you back.
Dear. Well, thank you very much for staying up for Grumpies. You sound like you're completely knackered, as the expression goes.
Oh, just a bit, yeah, but I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so finally, Doozer, what's been on your mind, apart from what we've already done?
Well, too much has been on my mind and too little. So much is on my mind, I can't think about anything. And right now, what's on my mind is the fact that I can't get my mobile phone far enough away from me to stop my screen going green. For some reason, it's playing havoc with my monitor, suddenly. So I don't quite know what that's about. It's across the other side of the room, but it's definitely related to the mobile phone. So that's all I'm going to moan about now, and about the aliens, and this be very interesting to find out whether, well, I suppose, what kind of trick that is. Although I am under no aspersions about being we're the only planet in the village, as it were, with humans on it, and or with animals of some kind of nature on it. And I think that's probably about it. And I'd like more work that I don't have to do and get paid for it.
Yes, that sounds like a pushy number. Well, I begin to wonder if the aliens have actually brought some sort of hardware gremlins upon us, because a lot of these comments are about technology hardware, aren't they? Anyway, sort of maybe the aliens will come as AIs, and I wonder if they'll be as amusing as the other guest who remains nameless tonight. But thank you for being here as well, Quasimodo Merlin. Right, okay, well, I think it's about a bit of a wrap. We will be back again, same time, same place, whatever that is for you, next week with another brand new installment of Grumpy Old Avatars. We don't know who the guests are yet, but we will find out before now and then and let you know accordingly. So in the meantime, I'd better go back to Simi very quickly, because I can never remember our blog address and our Twitter address. So over to you, Simi.
Sorry I'm not here. I've gone to bed because I was really grumpy.
Okay, I think it's grumpyoldAvatars.blogspot.com and the Grumpy Old Avatar singular Twitter. If it isn't, just try various combinations of the singular Twitter and
follow us on twitter.com Grumpy Old Avatar, and it's blogspot.com Grumpy Old Avatars. And of course, you can catch the shows over on NBC.
I was about to say that. Yeah, you can pick up a box of NBC televisions in the corner of the studio here, or in World Next Time We're in World, and watch these programs in delightful replay in an in-world box. Or you can go to Metaverse Television and watch them on the web and all over the place, because we embed them in blogs and everything else. So that's it, I think. Until next time, thank you again to Quasimodo Merlin. Thank you also to Maximillian Merlin for being here. Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be here. Sorry.
Okay, and thank you, Toxic Menges, for being here. And
thank you for letting me have a rant. Thank you very much.
Absolutely great. And of course, it's thanks to Slim Warrior.
She's going to bed.
She has gone to sleep now, yes. And
been knocked out by her hairdryer.
We are all looking for the cell phone.
Yes.
Stuck in my hair.
Thank you very much.
There's a Dragon Ash as well. Okay, so Anne. So we'll be back next week, and thanks everybody in the audience. Thanks to everybody watching at home, as it were, on the web TV, and we'll see you then.